All right. Should be up and running. Both streams should be live. We got about 5 minutes until the close, so we'll definitely see what the closing price is for the Qs and SPY. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for April 20th, 2022. Qs down 1.5%, just about. Like I said, we still got a few minutes. Netflix, a big contributor to why the Qs are down, okay, because of the SPY. It was basically flat, okay. Netflix. Facebook was also down quite a good amount. Facebook also showing a lot of weakness today, 7.7. So some of the major tech names here comprising the Qs were weak and giving that weakness to the Qs. All right, coming into today, we were neutral, but if we took out the base from yesterday under 340, 348, bearish. Okay, so we did that. We said we've seen this kind of before, this kind of pattern where the hourly looks to transition, and as soon as it makes the attempt to break, it gets hit. We saw it there, and then we also saw it here, right? So it looks like it's gonna pop after failing on an attempt to come in, and then it comes in for real. So almost a little head fake there before making the next move lower. And so, the interesting thing is that while that seemed to be an easy read and we were kind of prepared for it, I didn't anticipate that maybe we would have the divergence that we had today. So you can see the difference here. So for the SPY, we need to get under here, and you see we haven't gotten underneath it, right? Now, the SPY is weakening. If we break below, we'll be back to bearish on the Qs and SPY. We won't, we may still have a little bit of divergence, but at least both will have satisfied the criteria to be bearish. The hourly basically attempt to transition will have failed. So that will make things easier. If the SPY eventually just takes out that base from yesterday under 442, 44, right? That'll be bearish. Qs we're already bearish on the Qs. What's making today a little bit more complicated and interesting is that the SPY is actually holding okay. Here's the SPY on the daily. So while the SPY is not bullish, right? I don't see a good base breakout. I don't see a good bicep or anything to work off of. It did hold, okay? But will it hold into tomorrow? That's the thing I want to see. Okay, so we're a little bit more neutral on the SPY and then bearish on the Qs. Okay, so we do have divergence. We had it today throughout, and a lot of that due to the Netflix reporting earnings and disappointing. But it definitely made the bias going into tomorrow and for today a little bit more complicated. Okay, so for tomorrow, I guess, you add them up, right, and we end up somewhere in the neutral to bearish range, right? SPY is neutral, Qs is bearish, okay? So we'll see. We know where SPY needs to get under for us to be kind of all out bearish on the indices, all right? So we'll see if that's what that wants to do, okay? All right, getting into the plays from today. None of my plays that I called triggered. The BRQS was one I wanted right in the morning because I did quite like this gap. I gave you an idea, but left it as an idea. Decided I didn't want to play it because it was a little bit too wild this morning, that ALVR. This might have been the first thing I mentioned as a move up. And then BRQS, I had a play in the box. I'll show you what the play was here. As we were, consolidating right here. Okay, I was anticipating that we would put in a higher low and then break above and transition back up on the BRQS given the gap. And instead it kind of came in, so I canceled the play. Okay, fine, that's not a problem. Canceled the play. I think what was challenging about today is after the morning, and especially if you weren't really getting involved in the Netflix, which Netflix came in nice, I think, right at the open, and then eventually had a little bit of a rally later into the morning. There wasn't that much to do, so uncharacteristically, and that's not my words, actually someone else mentioned that it was kind of uncommon for me to take some plays, knowing that they weren't that good at plays. So I even said as I was playing it, I'm going to try this IPG on a breakout, but if it doesn't go right away, I'm going to kill it. Okay. And so I think this is the one. Yeah. Right there. Broke out. And I said, okay, I'm killing it. And so lost a little bit there on the IPG. Now, why is this play not that good a play? As nice as that intraday is, the daily is multiple bars up into resistance. So that was a flaw, typically a flaw that I would just not even play, no matter how good the intraday is. That one. Now, this one is a little bit better. I think the gap is a little bit better. But you still have that resistance to the left as well. Not cleared it very convincingly. So did try this right here on this 5 minute over this base. And again, as soon as it triggered, I originally had the stop here, raised up the stop, and then trailed. So a couple, small losses there that I really don't feel like were that good to take. And I think part of that was just kind of, taking plays to take plays. And that is not the idea that we should just trade just to trade. So I think a little bit impatient on my part today. I think that was kind of the big mistake here. And knowing that the plays were not that good, and then just trying to see what they would do. Now, then into the end of the day, finally, which this is the one I wanted, first thing initially, this BRQS, right? Because look at, it's gapping up. We have room to at 36. Maybe, this is the one that gets going. A lot of attention being paid, a lot of volume, transitioning here on the intraday. Finally did get a play in this in the afternoon. So I know some of you played it with me here on the BRQS, as it basically did what the same pattern that I was looking for in the morning was. Okay, we've got some weakness. You see this? Now we put in a higher low. If we confirm by taking out this previous high, by putting in a higher high, then we have ourselves an uptrend. Then I can play the play. Okay. So finally, yeah, the BRQS. So, it's not easy. You can see, there's 5 hours in between when I first wanted to play it and then when it actually set up. Okay, so it's not easy to kind of wait around for that, and not get caught up in other stuff or lower your standards. And I say that all the time. Say it in the market wrap. I say it in the room. If a play's not good enough. So, sometimes that is the challenge, and sometimes we're better about it. I'm usually better about it, knowing a play's not good and just not even bothering. If I'm not going to, play the play seriously, meaning I'm going to basically get out at any kind of sign of trouble. I'm not actually going to let it work to a target. Usually those plays are not worth playing. And you can easily, you say you do that on a couple, well, I'll just take a small loss here, a small loss there. They do add up. And then you also, are losing the trading side of it. You're basically just kind of placing little bets on stuff that probably won't work. And that's where we're now kind of more into the gambling side of things, into trading. It's not that you can't, trade that way, or that, there isn't some aspect of gambling with every trade. But if you do something knowing that you probably shouldn't, right, you do it a bunch, it's really not the way that we want to kind of build consistency and build confidence. Okay, so I slipped up a little bit today, I would say. Yeah, and this BRQS, a good thing was, is still kind of focused on it till the end of the day. I knew it was one of the better gaps. I knew it had a little bit more potential than a lot of the other plays, and it finally set up. It set up in the same way off the 15 that I was looking to play it this morning off the 2, and so okay, now my pitch is here. Okay, take my swing at it. So, yeah, I could have done a little bit better in the middle there. But, sometimes that happens. Okay. And I don't think that, we're going to have that issue too much here as we get into earnings season, where, this just gets too boring. But you will have a lot of things that aren't good enough. So, that's something to keep in mind, is that we are going to have a lot of gaps to choose from. And so knowing which ones you want to focus on, not going after the ones that you know aren't that good, having them take up your time and your attention, and then missing the good ones. So, it's a good reminder, I think, to as we get into earnings season, to really kind of focus on the gap, focus on the daily, and be okay with letting stuff go that just isn't good enough. Okay? All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.